Have the Chicago Bulls finally caught up with everybody else and have finally gotten tired of the Patrick Williams experiment? Well, if the Chicago Sun-Times report is to be believed, it seems like the Bulls are now willing to move Patrick Williams more than ever before. We're going to talk about it all and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, hosted by Hayes, your number one spot for all things Chicago Bulls.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host, there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today, y'all. So the Chicago Sun-Times came out with a report, and this report says a lot about where the Bulls are at with Patrick Williams, and all I have to say is, welcome to the party. In the Chicago Sun-Times, they say this. And again, take it all with a grain of salt, but they say this. According to a source, the Bulls basically told Williams things are now on him. They have catered to him by juggling at least 3 developmental coaches to work with him in the last few seasons. They've tried tough love by pulling him out of the starting lineup. They handled him with kid gloves at times by giving him extended minutes he hasn't earned. And they offered him the ultimate security blanket, giving him a 5-year, $90 million contract extension last summer. The reward, career lows in scoring, rebounding, three-point shooting, and field goal percentage, the very definition of a player who needs a change of address to save his career. Man, that's pretty damning. I'll go back to this real quick, right? The part in it that says that they've brought in 3 developmental coaches to work with him. Keep in mind, earlier in the season that we heard that Peter Patton basically was like, hey, I can't do nothing with P. Will. To say that there have been 2 other developmental coaches, which I'm guessing is probably Wes Unseld Jr. and Dan Craig. I'm guessing there. Again, it doesn't name them in the report, but 3 developmental coaches to work with the player. 5 years in the league. You gave him $90 million, and this to me already says enough about their contract extension. Why would you extend a player for a full 5 years, $90 million that you already have had developmental coaches that have worked with, and that he's not stepped up his game at all? And it does say in this article as well, is that the Bulls' message to Williams is that it's time for him to sink or swim. That's pretty damning when you look at all of that. To sink or swim, man, that's really crazy. Now, the unfortunate part about all this is that the Bulls gave him the $90 million extension. So now that if you even do try to move off of him, even though 1 year, so you have 4 years left on that deal at this point with $71 million left on that deal, that's still a tough deal to move with the player. The deal itself isn't bad, but the contract is made bad because Patrick Williams' performance has been god-awful. So when you look at all of this, this is, again, another move by a front office that just – it's unfortunate, man. This team just is not – you can't keep taking risks and they blow up in your face. Now, I do think this plays a part into when you look at that free agent list that we heard the Bulls can be interested in, that plays into that a little bit. Defensive kind of minded, more 4s or 3s, right? That the Bulls probably at this point are just at the point where it's time to move on. Like P. Will may still be on the roster, but that doesn't mean he's part of the plan. Right, and I think that's unfortunate. The place that you mean that's unfortunate when it comes all down to this. And one thing that's even more loud about all of this, right, that I think says a lot about what it comes down to is that they even talk about in this article. They say this: the Bulls would love to see Williams on the move, but that's unlikely with his contract. Liddell and Horton Tucker are free agents and likely to be elsewhere, and losing Horton Tucker will be felt. Say what you say about his shoot-friendly mentality, but he was a solid force off the bench at times and always looking to score. If we're at the point where it's damn, we got P. Will, but we had to let THT is not a good basketball player. But if it's at that point, that's a pretty fucking bad place to be at. If we're just being 100% frank, that's a pretty bad place to be at when you're like, oh my God, the loss of Taylor Horton Tucker because we kept P. Will. That's crazy. That's ridiculous. But that just highlights how bad of a place this franchise is in. It's in a terrible place. And so it just continues to be bad. It continues to be terrible. The P. Will experiment must end. Now, unfortunately, it may not come by ending by a trade because I don't know anybody who's going to take on P. Will's contract unless it's a completely rebuilding team and they're not giving you a lot back, which maybe you can get some seconds. But at this point in time, like you drafted a player 4th overall. That player has then become such a liability to you that he's not even part of the plan anymore, even though he's still on the roster. And you keep having 3 developmental coaches. 3. That's the part that stands out to me so much about that. 3 coaches who have been working just to develop your game. And you got rewarded with that with career lows everywhere. I feel Shay on here. Don't talk about it, be about it. 100%. 100%. Great morning, phone in. Hit the like on the way. And it's still morning to you, Bulls Daily. It's 12:35 where you are. It's not morning anymore. Wake up, bro. Lay off the weed. About damn time. Long overdue. Long overdue. Thank God. Let's trade Vooch and Pat and get a decent. You're not getting. Listen, I understand all this, but we got to stop thinking you could trade pieces that don't work and you're getting anything back. It's great to say that, but it even says in this it's going to be difficult. This ain't 2K. Like, it's hard to move a player that's disappointing on what should be. Like, keep in mind, $19 million is a decent contract. It's supposed to be a decent contract for a 23-year-old player. The fact that he's made that contract look terrible, that's going to be extremely difficult to move. Extremely difficult to move. I'll believe it when I see it. Well, you're not probably going to see a trade. I'm cool with him just not being in the rotation. New scenery is necessary for him and us Bulls fans. Listen, you're not wrong on that one. It's about damn time they stop making excuses for P. Will. He either needs to step up or chill on the bench. That's a big fact. Catch Giannis. You're not getting Giannis. Come on, fam. Come on. The Bulls are not getting Giannis. Not getting Giannis. I believe it when P. Will is actually traded. Until then, I'm tired of hearing the same shit. Well, that's the thing. This isn't the same shit. I'm sorry, Wynton, I know you live in being Mr. Pessimistic, but this isn't remotely the same shit. And you can move on without trading him. Trading him is going to be difficult. Like I said, I'll settle for just him not being in the rotation. Like, just not let him be in the rotation anymore. Let's move on. Unfortunately, it's a bad contract. It's a bad contract you're probably going to be sitting there with for a little while, and that's it. Because it's taken so long for management to actually see what we've all seen for years now, that's wild, but means they might be ready to shake this team up a little. I mean, let's be clear. They've shaken this team up a lot. Caruso gone, DeMar gone, Drummond gone, Zach's gone. Like, we've actually shaken the roster up a lot. It's unfortunate that you make this decision on P. Will a year after giving him a 5-year, $90 million contract. That's crazy. That's crazy. THC is not decent. I'm sorry, he's not. When it takes you 9 shots to get 10 points and you shoot the ball almost 39% from the field, that's not decent any way you try to cut it. That's not decent. If we're going to stop settling for bad in P. Will, let's stop settling for bad in players that just are bad. Any player on a vet minimum contract can give you what THC gives you, period. Not trying to talk crazy, but about this kid, he has no motor or real enthusiasm for the game at times, P. Will, I mean. Absolutely. Absolutely. To be fair, I don't think teams will look at him like that as far as how much the Bulls try to do for him because our whole franchise is looked at as terrible. Some teams think he just bad here. No, there's no way to just look at P. Will and think he's just bad here. Even in players that we've moved off on, Derrick Jones Jr. showed a lot. We didn't play him a lot. He showed tremendous versatility. When a player at Derrick Jones Jr. who came in to the league as a shooting guard plays for you at center and gives you pretty good production, that's good. Alex Caruso absolutely showed good. DeMar, the Kings needed something, but, I mean, he broke Wilt records here. So, no, I don't think teams are going to look at it and say, oh, my God, he was so bad just because of the Bulls. No, even the players that have left the Bulls, Daniel Gafford, right? The players that have left the Bulls, they showed something. P. Will ain't showed nothing. I don't think teams are going to all of a sudden look at it and be like, yeah, that player that looks like he don't care about the game of basketball, we just need to get him in here. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think that's going to happen. Trey Vooch and Carter for John Collins. Jazz opens up an extra roster spot. What makes you think? See, anyway, Send Pat to the G League for a couple of games. Hopefully that will. He has been sent to the G League. At some point you got to realize there ain't no motivating a player like P. Will. There's just not. No matter what you do. Now, I know what you're saying. I didn't mean Pat and Vooch for big man just to unload them and sign a big man in free agency. I know we ain't getting shit with these two on the trade block. Come on now. I mean, that's the thing, though. If you trade P. Will now, you're probably going to have to give up a draft pick to move him. Now, maybe it could be heavily protected. Vooch is different. I do think teams are going to look like Vooch is still very productive at his age offensively. He's never been anything defensively, so I don't think teams are going to necessarily hold that against it. And he's an expiring. That gives Vooch a little bit of that. The problem with P. Will is that you'd be committing to 4 more years of that, and you're going to have to entice it for that. Exactly. If I shoot 10 times, I can get 10 points. Like the THT truthers are crazy, man. Are real crazy. Like THT is trash. Let's get to 146 likes, phone them, keep up on the algorithm. We appreciate that. Pat just needs to change the scenery. Change the scenery isn't going to change his mentality. It's not going to change his personality. It's not going to change his lack of drive. It's not going to make him care about the game of basketball anymore. It'd be like Laurie was a player that you could tell loved basketball, and then because of Jim Boylan, it affected his mentality. He needed to change his scenery. P. Will's a player that's never had a good mentality at all. So I don't know if it changes scenery. Hopefully. Listen, if people will change the scenery, cool. If he gets out there and he plays better, great. But it just, at this point, it ain't going to be here. It doesn't need to be here. It's not nothing that's going to come out of it being here. I know we need to get rid of P. Will. Just ask the Pope to spray him with holy water while he says, Mary, may the power of Christ compel you. P. Will melts. We're good. No more. First of all, that's a crazy visual. That's crazy. That's actually pretty wild. I'm not going to lie to you. That's actually pretty wild. Facts, just get his ass off my team. And I don't want to sell y'all a bill of goods and then y'all be like, but Hayes, listen, chances are higher than not P. Will still on the roster next year. I just want to be clear here. That's why I said I'll settle for just P. Will not really being in the rotation anymore. That's what I'll settle for. Let him rot in the G. Forget about him for the next 4 years. Maybe he'll figure it out. If not, oh well, take that L. Well, you can't say the thing about P. Will's been in the league too long to just assign him to the G League. He can turn down a G League assignment. So that's why I said more than likely, the most likely scenario is P. Will is going to be on the bench. Now, how much he plays is going to be determined by what the Bulls do this offseason. Julian Phillips and Dalen Terry, mixing those two names together. It's going to be that. Pat just don't have that fire to be great, and I'm done believing. If old-ass journeyman who dated Meg Thee Stallion can play with more fire, then that's a problem. Dating Megan Thee Stallion probably helps fill people with a little bit of fire there. Man, ship his ass off. Let whoever he go to deal with it if he want to play or not. F him. That's the thing. I don't really see any teams really buying in on P. Will at this point in time. But hey, if you can get him to do that, great. If a team's out there like, hey, if they really do think, oh no, there's still a player there in P. Will, we just need to develop out of him. The Bulls can't develop worth shit. If there's a team that really is convinced of that, great. Let them have his ass. Keep it moving. Keep it pushing, and let's move on. I love to snap P. Will and Vooch to Golden State Warriors for Kaminga. Well, the problem with that is that would be difficult only because since Kaminga is a restricted free agent, only half of his salary would count towards salary matching. So P. Will and Vooch together are almost $40 million. That means that, and they don't have the other supplemental contracts to really make that work. So more than likely, even if we do sign and trade Kaminga, you're probably looking at either one of those guys going, and more than likely it's probably Vooch, right? So that's probably what you're looking at, but we'll see. It's just me or is it only coming out of one headphone? Should be coming stereo. Hold on, let me see. I can look at it on this. Let's see. No, it's definitely. So let me know what you guys think on that one. At least it's showing stereo on my side. Listening to some of us so-called Bulls fans, you guys be sounding so delusional. If we can get shit for Zach or DeMar, what the fuck do you think we're going to get something solid for P. Will? Come on, bro. Hey, listen. Which center do you think would fit with our fast transition offense for next season? I mean, that's the thing. You're not really necessarily looking at a center just for offense. You're looking at them more for defense. And I actually think all the centers in this draft can really fit as far as like getting out. There's no real slow plotting centers in this draft, right? There's not a Zach Edey in this draft. Even Danny Wolf, who is probably the center you're concerned the most about in a fast-paced offense, it can probably still fit in tremendously. So I don't think there's any problem with the pace. I think it's the defensive profile that you're really looking at. So out of all the bad moves by this front office, where do you put the P. Will contract decision at? I'd have to sit down and rank it. That may be a video for later. I like off the top of my head, I'm sure I'd miss something. If I just try to go off the top of my head, I have to really sit down. But it's bad. It's really bad. It's really bad. Start, bench, cut, P. Will, Valentine, or Felicio. If I had it between these, start Felicio. And it's Felicio, not Feliciano. Where'd you get that from? Start Felicio because I think at least he could be a lob threat. You remember how Felicio was catching those Dwayne Wade lobs? I think that he could at least do that. So I'm starting Felicio, benching P. Will, because I still think even 9 points off the bench is still better than Denzel Valentine. And you're cutting Denzel Valentine. So that'll be what I do with that one. That's your start, bench, cut there. I want Derek Queen. Derek Queen could be really good on this team. The thing is that he's very ball dominant. We're trying to move away from that, right? So that would be the biggest concern with Derek Queen there, as well as the defensive side of the ball. He's an active defender, but not really a good on-ball defender. And he's not really a rim protector either. But I do like Derek Queen a lot. Maybe Detroit still wants P. Will. I doubt that. I think with what they have, especially now with Isaiah Stewart, Paul Reed couldn't even play for them. I don't know about that. Oh, no, you forgot how Delicious after the contact would literally not hold a ball. What? Delicious? Who are you calling Delicious? Holy shit, Felicio and Valentine is a throwback. I hate Valentine so much he was trash. That's facts. That's facts. All right, y'all. I just wanted to bring this update, man. Let's see. I mean, it seems like the Bulls are open to a lot of change. If you go over the things that we've heard so far, again, everything with a grain of salt, right? But if you heard what we've gotten so much this offseason, the Bulls, Zach Collins and Nikola Vucevic are on the trade block. The Bulls are open to moving P. Will. There's teams calling about Jalen Smith. So those are 4 players right there, right, that they could be looking to move. So maybe this is a more active. We'll see. We'll see. The draft lottery is on Monday. I think ultimate draft positioning for the Bulls is going to tell a lot about this team and see where we're going to be at. And overall, I think this could be an offseason where the Bulls add some clarity to the roster. I still doubt there's going to be any type of like huge kind of trajectory changing moves, but I do think you can see some moves that kind of start clearing the deck and show who the Bulls are just like, hey, at this point, we can get off these guys. And I think the draft is a huge part of that. And I think that's going to be a huge part of where the Bulls are looking back to get off some of these deals, and maybe they're willing to take back less for some of these players and things like that. Hayes, do you think getting Thomas Sorber at 12 would be a reach? No, I don't think that's a reach. I don't think it's a reach personally. I think there are a lot of players, like the players that are going 1 through 4 clearly above, right? I think there are a few players that like 5 through like 8, 9-ish are clearly above that next pack. But I think anything after number 10, between like 10 and about 18, 19, have all very similar ceilings in this draft. So I really can't call anybody too much of a reach. Thomas Sorber definitely isn't one. I do think if you draft like a Danny Wolf at 12, that would be a reach. Something like Hugo Gonzalez at 12 would be a bit of a reach. I think those are what you're looking at as reaches, but I don't think really anybody there could be a reach after that. But they fired head of player development and still giving up on P. Will. Well, I don't know if you're just tuning in. They said they had 3 development coaches work with P. Will. So yeah, I think that it's time to give up on P. Will. I don't care who it is. If you had 3 people come in just to help you develop your game and you ain't developed, that's a bit of a concern there. That's a bit of a concern. So exactly, doctor. How does that make sense? Then what the hell was the point of saying well, I think Peter Patton was something different. I think Peter Patton was more so because he was calling the front office. He wasn't a yes man. I think regardless of whatever, from everything that we've heard since Peter Patton's gotten fired, it's not that they were upset with the results that they got. It wasn't anything like that. It was basically just that he was somebody that was in there calling them out on their bullshit, and they wanted yes men around him. That's not good. I'm not saying that's a good thing, but I think it just comes down to he wasn't somebody that was bought into the bullshit. He was somebody that was calling out the bullshit because he wanted it to be different so he can do his job better. At least that's what it seems like. But all right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns. bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See Red if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.